When running, we can experience around 3 times our body weight through our lower limbs with each step. So it's unsurprising, really, that we may experience some injuries or pain whilst running at some point. But this really shouldn't be the norm. Running should be pain-free. So today, I'm going to run you through 7 quick tips to get you running without pain. Walk before you can run, and to be honest, I mean that in more ways than just one. If you have been injured, please do build up very slowly, and this may actually require more walking than running initially. So for instance, you might do 30 seconds of running followed by 90 seconds of walking, and then repeating that through a handful of times. And then with time, you might start to increase those run durations, shorten the walk durations, increase the number of reps before finally getting to more continuous running. Avoid overstriding. This is when your footsteps consistently land in front of your centre of mass or in front of your body. So instead of carrying your momentum fluidly forwards, instead it acts like a bit of a braking force, and therefore we actually end up feeling a lot more force and impact through our lower limbs, which isn't good. Now this is actually incredibly common. Many of us end up with overly tight hip flexors and glutes due to prolonged sitting in our day jobs. This means that many of us are incapable of extending our legs behind us, and lacking that ability, we do the only thing we can: reach out in front and pull, overstriding. So the best way to reduce overstriding is to improve the mechanics of your hips. You need to stretch your hip flexors and engage and strengthen your glutes. Then, of course, focus on drills and technique to encourage striking underneath your centre of mass. Mix up the surface or terrain that you're running on. If you're almost exclusively running on the harder asphalt, tarmac, and to be honest, even treadmills to some extent, well, it may be time to start mixing that up and start running on some softer surfaces to reduce that impact. Now, personally, I will try to do some of my more quality, harder workouts on harder terrain and harder surfaces, but then pretty much all my other runs are off-road on softer surfaces. And research also actually shows that mixing up the terrains that you run on can actually be really good for improving your run efficiency and obviously, subsequently, keeping your legs a little bit more fresh. And with that in mind, it may be worth taking a look at your footwear, your running shoes, and checking that they're not dead. By that I mean that they haven't lost their cushioning, their shock absorption, and even their stability. Obviously, if they are lacking in those and they've lost that, then that's going to increase the stresses and impacts that you feel through your lower limbs. Now, a good general rule of thumb is to try and replace your running shoes every 300 to 400 miles, obviously depending on your running style, your body weights, and the surfaces of terrain that you run on. Obviously, a lighter runner might get away on the higher end of that mileage, whereas a heavier runner or someone that's running on the harder terrains may have to replace them on the lower end of that. And then, of course, there's getting the right running shoes for you, making sure that you are getting shoes that suit your running style or your gait, and also obviously matching the kind of running that you're trying to do. If you're looking for a shoe for everyday running, perhaps doing some longer runs, then you're probably going to want a well-cushioned mileage shoe. Obviously, this may seem like a bit of a minefield, so our best advice to you is to head into a running store and get some expert advice. Now, as you do start increasing the number of runs that you're doing and obviously the distance of your runs, make sure you do it very gradually, because your body may not simply be conditioned already if you start doing it too quickly, and that could result in injuries or niggles. Now, we often advise following the 10% rules. So you never increase one run to the next by more than 10%, and also 1 week to the next by more than 10%. So, for instance, you might do 20k one week, then 22k the next week, 24 to 25 the next, and so on. Try to adopt the everything in moderation mentality and avoid trying to do too much of one thing. For instance, running up and down hills is great for building strength and stamina, but too much of it and you can start to overload the quads, the ITBs, and therefore that could end up causing issues. And to be honest, anything new such as speed work, running on new terrain, you want to gingerly weave into your running routine rather than launching in with an all or nothing attitude, and everything should go smoothly. And finally, know when to hold yourself back. As runners, we are known for our good work ethic, and it's this dedication that's a big part of running's appeal, but it can also be a recipe for disaster. Push too hard, too often, and we'll almost inevitably succumb to overtraining, which can lead to injury and pain whilst running. So make sure that you listen to your body. If you do ever feel some discomfort or pain whilst running, then I would almost certainly recommend stopping right away and backing off. Pushing through that, and you could create a larger injury that could put you out for longer. Now, if you do ever experience some pain or discomfort whilst running, and do make sure that you check out some of our dedicated videos that focus on things like runner's knee, plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, and so on, where you can find out some advice on how to deal with those and how to come back from those. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to GTN.